you. Okay, I just have some really short slides and then I want to just answer questions for you and talk a little bit more about getting your credentials and what that looks like. So our department, these are our faculty, and we have really strong expertise in several areas. One is language and literacy. So we do a lot of everything in our program. Almost all courses that we teach will be from a multilingual lens. So we value all of our students' home language and their funds of knowledge. So we understand, being in Southern California in particular, that the majority of our students, their home language is not English. And so we value that. And we have several faculty that do a lot with language and literacy, as well as math and science. And then we've hired some new faculty that also use robots in teaching. So for example, Dr. Ji-Young Kim here, she uses robots in her classes to teach math and just to teach literacy as well. But you can code the robots to do different tasks and they help children to learn. So a lot of what we do at Cal Poly, because we are a polytechnic, that means that a lot of the learning that happens in our classrooms is more hands-on. So you will actually be given a lot of manipulatives to teach math or science or literacy. We've had students actually write and create children's books in some of our classes, and we actually had them printed up. One of the students had a friend that's an artist, so she did the illustrations. So there's a lot of opportunities for different things. And we have some amazing faculty. We just hired a new faculty, Dr. Michelle Soto Peña. She's just starting with us this fall, and she also does language and literacy. We also value social justice, and I know that's like not a popular thing right now in this country, but we are still moving forward, and we do value everybody. And we have an anti-racist lens and a social justice lens, but we also have amazing faculty that really are passionate about this work. So you will learn a lot of different things from a lot of different perspectives. So currently, right now, we have 3 teaching options in our program. If you are coming to us from a child development program, then the teaching option would be the option for transfer students. If you want to teach in a dual immersion classroom, we also have a multilingual teaching option. So this will allow students to get, in addition to their multiple subject credential or single subject credential or PK3 credential, you can get a bilingual authorization and added on authorization, and the courses that meet that subtest 3 for the CSET. So in order to get a bilingual added on authorization to an existing credential, there is another CSET exam, and CSETs are for subject matter and in that particular language. But we've built it so the courses that students take, at least right now on our campus, it's mainly Spanish, but we're adding Tagalog and Mandarin as well. But if you take the classes, then you do not have to take the CSET exam. And then the last option, this is only for transfer students that are coming to us from a liberal studies degree or elementary education transfer degree from a community college. So they do not have the child development courses, and they will get the child development courses in our program. So those are the 3 options that we have for teaching in our programs. And changing your options, it's not an issue only for this last one. And sorry, it says 6. We used to have 6 and now we have 3. But this one can't change because you need to take the child development classes. So that's mainly all I had. A couple other things I wanted to share with you is currently, um, for credentials, there are subject matter tests and basic skills tests. So the CBEST is basic skills, and those now are being met by having a bachelor's degree. So once you get your BA, you will meet the basic skills as long as you have a B minus or better. And those are in the golden four classes. So the math, the science, the English, and the communications, I believe, or is it the political science? I don't remember which one, but the golden four, you need a B minus or better in order to meet the C best. And then currently, I review transcripts for our students to meet the CSET exam, which is subject matter. We are currently creating a waiver program at Cal Poly Pomona, so this will be included in undergrad courses as well as in our program, so that students will meet the subject matter for the CSET exam, and it will actually show on students' degree. And that means you could go to any credential program in the state of California, and you will not have to take the CSET exam. So the other thing I wanted to share, so Jessica, I think you were saying that, I think it's Jessica, I don't remember which one of you are in psychology. I think it was Jessica, is that correct? Or was it Abigail?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Okay, so that's kind of what I did. So I did art and play therapy in elementary schools. That's what I did. And psychology would be for clinical work, so therapist type of thing, but there are also different types of psychology degrees. And then if you wanted to go into psychiatry, you would have to go in and get a medical degree. So that would require an MD versus a PhD or a PsyD in psychology. There's also other areas of psychology like developmental or cognitive, there's social, there's sports, there's so many different areas. But I think if you want to work with children, developmental would be good, or taking some child development courses would be helpful to understand development in particular. So I don't know if you have any specific questions for me. I'm happy to answer them, or Andrew and Abigail, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer anything. And I know right now, most of the Cal States in particular, they are still enrolling for spring. So I know on our campus, we have spring enrollments. I think the due dates are in November for students to deposit if they've already submitted an application on Cal State Apply. But do you have any questions for me or anything you want to know more about in terms of the credentials? So quiet. Nothing? Do you have any questions about getting a single subject? So for history or for math? Or are you pretty secure in the knowledge that you have in order to get those credentials? Nothing? I'm here to help if I can, if there's anything you need. I'm trying to think. Are you looking to apply to Cal Poly Pomona? Or are you looking at other schools?
Looking at other schools as well.
Okay. And is there anything you're looking for in particular? in terms of programs or that type of thing?
Um, Not in particular, but like you said, my single subject
Subject?
credential
Yeah,
and how different like Cal States and different like UCs
yeah,
pertain their programs or present their programs. That's what I'm interested
absolutely.
in, seeing the
Yeah,
different.
no, yeah. And I think the history, I'm glad you're interested in history. I love history, but I have to say, when I'm a product of the LA Unified School District, and I hated history because I just had really bad history teachers. And I have friends that teach history in middle school, and they're phenomenal teachers. And I wish I had a good teacher because I think I would have learned so much more and loved it even more than I do now. Um, but yeah, I think it's important. And one of the things too is I know the UC starting next year, they're going to start accepting more local students, I think, because of um, kind of what the federal government's been doing with decreasing their ability to have out-of-state students or even students from other countries come over. So they're going to start looking at enrolling more local students, which I think is great. Andrew and Jessica, do you have any questions for me or anything you want clarity on? Happy to answer anything.
To be a preschool teacher, would I have to change my major from psychology?
Um, so there's multiple ways you can do it, Jessica. One is obviously by getting a degree in child development, but you can get a child development permit. And right now they're changing the permit, and I think the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. So they issue all of the child development permits, and they also issue the credentials. They're voting on the revision of the permit that will happen, I believe, in October. They have an October meeting, and they are public meetings, and you can always go on their websites and look for them. There will be certain classes you need to take, but if you were a preschool teacher at a private school, you don't even need a permit. So it just depends. But there are certain things you'll need, and I do recommend taking some of the classes in child development that will help you. In particular, there's a practicum course and an observation and assessment course, and that places you in classroom settings. So that will give you a good idea and sense if you want to work with that age group of children. I don't, yeah. And you should have, through the child development program on your campus, they have a mentor teacher program, but they should have people there to help with issuing child development permits. And if you speak with that person, and Emily, I don't know if you know who that person is on your campus, but they can help guide you on maybe courses that you should take to help you get the permit so that you can get a job.
Yes, I'll put their name in the chat right now.
Okay, perfect. Anything else? Andrew, do you have any questions for me?
Apologies, can you hear me? My Wi-Fi is kind of acting up.
Yes, I can hear you
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Back to the for the single subject for math.
Yeah.
Just kind of trying to figure out exactly how that works.
So it would be best, are you majoring in math right now?
So right now I'm just taking my G's.
Okay, okay, then that's great. What you would do then is you would major in math, and then our campus, so my program is in the College of Education and Integrative Studies. And with that, there is somebody from the math department that will work with the credential program. So they have like a designee or a faculty member that takes the lead from the math department for anyone that wants to take or wants to become a teacher of math. And you'll have specific coursework and they will guide you in the program in the math department also in taking the courses that you need to be able to teach math. I think one of the interesting things that a lot of programs do or do not do, and I'm really glad you're going to be a math teacher, Andrew, because the same thing I ask students when they come for our orientations, how many people like math? And very few, if any, will raise their hand. And I tell students, you're not bad at math, you've just had really bad math teachers. And we need really good math teachers. And one of the things we do in our program, so we go from 0 to 8 years old. So we go up to 3rd grade in our program. And we give all of our students the basic math concepts. So they learn math, the concepts about the different types of math and science, but then we give them the skills, the pedagogical skills. So this is how you teach math to a 3rd grader or a 2nd grader, etc. And so there are some math classes that you will take on how to teach math, depending on if you're in middle school or high school. So I think that would be helpful, but that's typically the route when you do a single subject. And here, I'm gonna find something and I'll put it in the chat for you. Let's see here. Okay. So this is a link on the single subjects. So it tells you, this is the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing's website. And I'll put it in chat. And so at CTC, any information you want about credentials is here. And then if you look at the, maybe it'll just help if I do this. I'll just open what I'm looking at here. Make it a little bigger. Okay. So you could see here, these are all the areas of single subjects. And the requirements are here for the preliminary. So you have all the information. And as I said, like most credentials, there are teacher performance expectations for math. And then in order to complete your program, you'll have to do 600 hours of clinical practice. And this goes for every credential, whether it's multiple subject or single subject. You need student teaching experience, and it's called clinical practice. And then within that process, you have to pass a teacher performance assessment. So you will actually videotape yourself teaching lessons. And then in that assessment, you will discuss, why did you choose this particular lesson? What did you want students to learn when you implemented it? How did it go? Did they learn what they were supposed to learn? That type of thing. So, but all this information is here. And there are different options for the clear credential as well. Now, private schools are different. So again, oftentimes, if you taught at a private school for 6 years, you can actually apply for the single subject credential, and you typically will get it if you have been a math teacher or history teacher at a private school for 6 years, if that makes sense. So hopefully, did that answer your questions, Andrew?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? I will put my email in the chat. And if you want to email me, please do. I'm happy to answer your questions when you're ready to apply for programs. It doesn't have to be at Cal Poly. I'm happy to answer questions for other programs if I know the information. But yeah, I mean, I think I think I think it's valuable to experience things. And I think as you're going through GEs and other courses, figuring out what you like and what you do not like. And that's why, Jessica, I recommend going into classroom settings so that you get a better sense if you want to work with young children or not, because it's not for everybody. And one thing in child development in particular, you learn that a 4-year-old is very different than a 5-year-old, who's very different than a 6-year-old. Even though it's only a year in those younger ages, it's a world of difference when you look at development and what children are capable of doing cognitively, even physically and social emotionally at different ages. So we value the whole child and look at them as a whole person, not just are they doing okay in math or history or science? How is everything else going for them? Because we know if things are going well, then their ability to learn just increases that much more. So anything else? I don't want to waste your time or take up your time, but I'm happy to chat more if you'd like.
Denise, I have a question.
Sure.
So did they take away the ITEP options? Okay.
Yeah, so we've had so many issues with ITEP. So the ITEP option was for special education, and it was a combined bachelor's degree and special ed credential. And the reason we took it away was a few years ago, the federal government removed the ability for ITEP students to use their FAFSA, their student loan money, for both the BA and the credential. So now you have to pick one. And with the ITEP, it's an accelerated program. So that means students have to take 18 units in semesters, and they have to go to summer school, which is out of pocket. And the summer classes are typically the credential classes, and they cost more.
Okay.
And then the third thing is that a lot of districts, because they are combined, the districts were saying that they go by the date of your bachelor's degree, and then any courses you take after that counts as post-bac, and then you get a bump in pay. Because they're together, they're not
Yeah.
honoring that. And so they will start off at a lower pay scale. And there were just
Yes.
so many barriers that we decided it wasn't fair to students. So we're looking at doing a blended program, and students can actually do this on their own if they wanted to. We would work with them, where you can get your degree in a shorter time, and then get your BA, and then you can go into the credential program. So for freshmen, we would do a 3+1, so get your BA in 3 years. And part of it is nice because, like the GE classes, for example, all the state funded programs, like you could take those in the summer and they're covered with financial aid now, if that makes sense. And so there are ways to do it quickly, but doing it as an ITEP is not ideal for students. And we're very student centered on our campus. And so that's why we decided not to. We also had a non-teaching option. So Jessica, that would be for someone, coming from psychology or another degree. They want to work with children, but maybe not as a teacher. And it's been really hard to support students in that option, because they're still taking so many of our courses that are more teaching focused, and we can't offer all the other classes in different programs for them, if that makes sense. So we just decided we're just going to focus on teaching because that's our strength. And that way we can serve all the students that we have. Versus, trying to find them classes in sociology because they want to be social workers. Well, you should go to sociology because they have a social work track. Our campus does not have a track for speech therapy or speech pathology. Our communications program does not feed into a speech program, but there are other CSUs that have very strong speech pathology programs, like Northridge. in Fullerton. They have a good program. So yeah, there's differences. And that's why we had 6 options and now we're down to 3.
Gotcha. That is something I've heard about integrated programs that depending on the district,
Yeah.
right,
They
it
won't
could,
honor it. Yeah.
yeah, it could either be a benefit for them or it won't.
Yeah.
And I make sure I make that clear. I'm like, hey, I know districts are very, very, very slowly trying to work on it, but that is a barrier that, some
Yeah.
of the students graduating from integrated programs are experiencing.
Yeah, and it's expensive, and then I don't have control over the education courses in the special education programs. So I've had instances where the summer class, for us, our summer classes have to be larger than our regular semester classes. And if they don't meet the numbers, then they cancel the classes. So I've had students have to go on leave of absence because they couldn't take those classes in the summer and it held them back a year. You know what I mean? So it's just
Mhm.
not, it just hasn't been ideal for students. And our students oftentimes they work full time or they have families and they have other issues and taking that many units and then having to pay out of pocket for summer school is it's not tenable for a lot of students and we understand that, so that's why we decided against it.
Gotcha. Thank you, Denise.
Yeah, of course. Anything else?